everybody, and welcome back to another Three Geeks conversation. Today we are joined by the iconic Jennifer Jones. Jennifer, thank you so much for being on. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it is an honor. I just kind of want to hop right into it. You kind of made history. You were the first African American woman to get to be at Radio City as one of the Rockettes. I mean, what went through your mind when you kind of got that when you kind of broke that barrier?
It was surreal. I was 20 years old. I was just navigating my way into the entertainment industry, wanting to be a dancer my whole entire life. When I initially auditioned for the Rockettes, I didn't know who they were or what they did. I went on a recommendation from my friend who said I would make a perfect Rockette. And being very green in the business, very nervous at auditions, intimidated, everyone was a better dancer. I went to get better at auditioning. And it was incredible when they told me that I would be the first Black woman to dance as a Radio City Rockette. And of course, with big shifts like that, because the Rockettes were founded in 1925, there is resistance and there is a lot of love also. So it was a whirlwind of dynamic challenges and triumphs.
Yeah. At the time, did you realize that was kind of the magnitude of that moment? Did you realize that you were the first? And like when, or did that realization kind of come later?
No, like I said, I just auditioned not knowing anything about the Rockettes. A few days later, after I accepted the Super Bowl XXII halftime show, I was watching the 11 o'clock news, and the local anchor came on and said Radio City just hired their first Black woman to be a Rockette. And I was like, I wonder who that is, because they never told me at the time.
Wow.
It wasn't until a few days later that they would tell me. And then they immediately threw me into media training. But it would take my 15-year tenure as a Rockette to really learn the ins and outs, the deep history, and the deep systemic racism that came with the Rockettes.
So, so after you found out, what did it feel walking onto that line for the first time, knowing that you were kind of stepping into history?
It was the Super Bowl XXII was the first big show that I ever did in my career. And it was on such a magnitude stage in a huge football stadium and being televised. And I was nervous right before the halftime show, especially with all the timeouts and the flags thrown before performing and extending that nervousness time. But once the music started and I ran out to the stage, I just felt like I was at home. Like the dancing was there. The pianos and the pianists on the field were all jamming, and it just felt like home. And that was where I was supposed to be in that moment.
I love that. And that led to a Barbie, that like a doll that you created, correct?
I invented the dancing Jen doll to coincide with my children's book On the Line, because at 9 and 10 years old, I knew at such a young age that I wanted to dance. And I thought that if I knew at that age, maybe there would be other children that knew what they want to do in life, whether it's being a chef or an astronaut or a soccer player. So I invented Dancing Jen to go with the book, so they had something to hold on to know that thoughts become things, to always dream big and never give up on that inner passion that you have in life.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I love the children's book, and I love that that's kind of the story. It's a hard thing nowadays too, because there's so many things, and there's a lot of discouragement from other people, and sometimes even your own families.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you dealt with some of that. How did you push through with that?
Um, yeah, there was a time in high school where my parents really weren't involved in my college choices. And I felt like all of my friends at one point knew what college they were going to, and they knew what they were going to major in. And I didn't know. I knew I loved to dance, but could I really, do that? So I went to my guidance counselor. I was late in the game, but I went and I had a plan. I wanted to go to Glassboro State College and I wanted to major in dance. And she looked at me and she told me that I wasn't ready for a 4-year college. And that,
Wow.
yeah, it blew, my plan out of the water. So I went to a county college that was located in the same county that I was in. And they happened to have a dance major. So I danced there. And my mother said, if you're really going to do this, you're going to have to go into New York City and study there. She took me to 3 schools. I fell in love with Broadway dance. And I started commuting back and forth into the city, learning the ropes, how to audition, waiting for my big Broadway break. But then there was a time when my parents, they thought I was living a pipe dream, and my father stopped giving me money for classes and money for the train, and I was really left on my own to figure out how I was going to pursue my dream. There was something innate in me that I knew that if I didn't try, I would regret it. So I had to figure out a way to take my dance classes, learn how to audition. And it was scary. All my friends were in college, getting a degree, and I'm pounding the pavement. And all I had was my faith.
And that's all you really need.
Yes.
And you proved that.
Faith with action, faith with action.
Definitely. Well, I mean, speaking of Broadway, you won a Tony, is that correct?
Yes. So after my tenure with the Rockettes, I was fortunate enough to fulfill my Broadway dream. I performed from beginning to end in 42nd Street, the musical, The Revival, and we won the Tony for Best Revival of a Musical.
Wow.
And what is so serendipitous about it is in 2001, we were opening for the Tony Awards, and the Tony Awards were being hosted at Radio City Music Hall, my home of 15 years. And I was performing there as a Broadway performer, and we won the Tony. So it really felt like a full circle moment in
Yeah.
my life.
Well, that's an incredible moment. Yeah, it like you said, it was home. It was it's where you were meant to be.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
It was
that.
wonderful.
What are some have you had any moments with young dancers that have kind of stuck with you, that have impacted that you can tell that you've impacted? Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, so there's a dance group called the Harlemettes, and so their idea, based in Harlem, a Harlem dance studio, dance school of Harlem, and it's about teamwork and a kick line and working together to make the formations, and that their idea came based off of me. And for me, I credit all the women who auditioned for Rockettes, Black women who were just turned away because of the color of their skin. And so I stand on their shoulders. But once the ceiling has been broken, it's for all of us to see the view and for the next generation to go forward and fly through that ceiling.
Yeah. Did I mean, did it feel like how did it feel kind of to know that you have this entire community you're getting to represent in this moment and getting to advocate for that? I mean, that has to be such a strong, passionate feeling. What was that like for
Yeah.
you?
Well, it still is very passionate, and I feel very fortunate to, welcome the next generation into this new, beautiful world, and letting them know that there is a seat at the table and a place on the stage for them. But it did take me a long time to like really find my voice in that. Simply because, as I said, being a first, there was resistance in that. And I speak that very publicly about one particular incident with the PR director at Radio City. And she pulled me aside right before my Super Bowl performance. And she told me that nobody cares about me, nobody cares about my story. It's old news, and that I'm lucky to be there. And
Wow.
she worked in the media. I was 20 years old, and I believed her. And I believed her for many years of my life. It was like peeling back layers of an onion to really know that it was her, and that was part of the racism that I was dealing with and just didn't realize it. So it really took me a long time to find my voice, but I'm so thankful and grateful that I have, and I can be someone that the younger generation does look up to.
I love that so much. I imagine it was quite a lot. Um, and like, I mean, how did you handle that emotionally?
Um, like I said, there were people
That's a
in the
loaded question. I
organization. Yeah,
know.
yeah, and there were ladies on the line who clearly did not want me there, but there were people in the organization and ladies on the line who did want to turn a new leaf and were ready for the line to be more diverse and inclusive. And I really leaned into those ladies to show me what precision dance was, how to do the eye high kicks, how to break into three lines seamlessly. I really, hung on to them, and I also had the dream of me being a little girl and wanting to dance on a stage under the lights with the lashes and the lipstick and the costumes, and no one was allowed to take that dream away from me.
I love that. And there's a lot of persistence and discipline in the line. Um, do you think that like some of that still helps guide you today?
Oh, most definitely. Yes, in every aspect of my life. Yes, I am a very routine person. When I do something, I do it by the book, by the rules, and it's just something that transferred over into my life. Even when I was battled cancer and staying on my chemotherapy treatments, that came into my life just at the perfect time to have that regimen and have that momentum going. So it's a familiar feeling. It's a comfortable feeling for me. So I
Yeah.
lean into that a lot. Yeah.
No, I mean that's a great thing. I like when there's something that does it gives you that discipline, and then you get to stick to it, and it really helps you stay on everything. But I mean,
Yes.
speaking of cancer, you had a pretty serious battle with that, and are doing fantastic and look fantastic. How
Thank you.
how was that for you? Like
Um,
what was that, going through that, and now you help talk to other people about it as well and advocate for this. Like what else can you tell me about it?
Yes. At the age of 50, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colorectal cancer. I went for a routine colonoscopy, which was at the age of 50. I knew I had just turned 50, something was off. And I'm like, gluten allergy or dairy, I'm 50 now. And when I came out of anesthesia, the doctor told me that I have cancer and it looks like I have about 5 years to live. And immediately I felt shame and embarrassment. I was considered the healthy one in my family. I was vegetarian at the time for 25 years, exercised every day, former professional dancer. And I didn't tell my family for a month. I went through
Wow.
lab work and scans, just under the radar and not letting them know. And when I did finally tell them, they directed me to a different doctor. And then just seeing, I went to Memorial Sloan Kettering and almost greeted by an almost all female team. And I felt so comfortable there. With my previous doctor, he wasn't listening to my questions, he wasn't returning calls. So I encourage everyone, if you're not comfortable with your doctor in any situation, find a new doctor.
Yeah.
And so I did 8 rounds of chemotherapy. I had surgery in December of 2018. And January 2019, I was deemed cancer free, thankfully. And I'm so grateful. So now I'm a staunch advocate for letting people know that the colonoscopy age has dropped to the age of 45 because it's the number one finding of cancer in younger adults. And it is preventable, it is beatable, but you have to get screened and know your
Yeah.
family history. If anything feels off, there are other ways to get screened, at home tests, in office tests at doctor's offices. And there's a plethora of information. They can go to Colorectal Cancer Alliance or Colon Cancer Coalition and find more information.
I love that you admit you just knew something was wrong and you go, because a lot of people don't. They're like, "Oh yeah, but I mean it's probably nothing." And I'm
Yeah.
guilty of that myself. So having someone to be like, "No, if it feels off, you know your body, go."
Right. And also when you go to the doctor, also advocate for yourself because I told her, can I be seen, right away because I just don't feel right. And she looked at oh, you're healthy, 2 weeks out you'll be fine. When in actuality 2 weeks is a long time for stage 3 cancer. So if
Right.
something feels off, really press for your doctor to be seen sooner.
I love that. You also, as well as writing on the line, you have Becoming Spectacular, your memoir.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I had an idea for years that I wanted to write about my Rockette journey. Um, there wasn't anything like put down in black and white on paper, anything documented, and a lot of people kept asking me about it. So I had this idea for years, and I would pick up the paper and pen, and then I would put it down. But then I realized I had more to offer in my story that could help other people. I had my life after my dancing career, and I talk about what it was like to stop dancing after 42nd Street. And I have 2 young children, and I'm a single mom, and I have to put food on the table and keep a roof over our heads and food on, clothes on our back. So I write about that, and I also document my battle with cancer, and hopefully anyone who is battling any type of disease can resonate, and hopefully I can provide some encouragement.
What message are you hoping people kind of take away, not just from Becoming Spectacular, but also on the line? Like, is there something you want people to feel when they finish reading those?
I do. For On the Line, the children's book, what I love about that book is the last page, and I hope it fosters a conversation between the parent and child or school teacher and child about what do these children love to do most in the world. Maybe we don't know. Maybe there's a hidden talent that they have, or they're too shy to say. So I hope it's a conversation that can be started, and the adults can nurture that love of what they have into the world. And for Becoming Spectacular, I feel like we all in life are becoming spectacular. We all have a unique individual gift unto us alone. And we need to cultivate that and bring that out in the world and make it shine. And if that person does not bring that gift out, not only do they lose, but we as the community loses that gift. We're all pieces to a whole, and even though it looks like we're all doing the same thing, each gift is so different, that and there's room for everybody to shine. We just need everyone's gift out there.
I love that. Well, moving back to kind of to your dancing Jen doll, I have a biracial daughter, and I have found it is harder to find um, dolls and toys that do represent more what she looks like. Is that kind of what moved you into kind of that world and creating that, along with your story?
Absolutely. And I even talk about in my book about being a biracial child, growing up in New Jersey, being born in the late 1960s. My parents being trailblazers, being married in 1965 before interracial was legalized in the whole United States until 1967. So anyone who has biracial children, I definitely recommend that, but I felt it was necessary to also include Dancing Jen. She's right here. That's why I keep looking at her.
I love it.
Thank you.
She's a beautiful doll.
Thank you. Thank you. Just to that they can, hold on to. And I made the tights, the skin tone tights of the dancer to know that, they match perfectly, and that these clothes can be beautiful unto you and unto your skin alone. So yes, that was definitely part of my plan.
How does how does that feel for you, knowing that, little girls now have these dolls that represent your story, that they feel can also represent themselves?
It feels amazing. And I just I just hope it goes back to my original thought process about designing Dancing Jen, to have that physical, tangible object to know never, ever to give up, keep going despite challenges, never to give up on their dream.
That's incredible. We talked about the resistance and like the kind of pushback. Did you have a really good like support? Like somebody who like truly was like, "No, you can do this," and believed in you and kind of helped push you towards following those dreams?
Um, do you mean on the Rockette line or in my dancing career?
In your dancing career or kind of leading up to it, because I know, like, you talked the high school, like, is there, I mean, like, because I know you said, like, kind of your parents even kind of
Mm.
stopped. Was there somebody who was kind of like that voice that was like, no, this is what you want to do. You should keep doing this.
Um, I had my community at Broadway Dance Center, and Frank Hatchett was like a mentor to me. And I think being in that dance community, we were all wanting that break, whether it was the music video or the off-Broadway show or the Broadway show. So we had each other that we could lean into. So that was my source of motivation. And I had friends. I was becoming friendly with people on Broadway, and I saw what their life was like, and I wanted my life to mirror that. So that was also kind of some fuel that kept me going.
Well, looking back, what would you tell younger you at the beginning of your dream?
I would tell the younger Jennifer Jones to dream big, don't give up, keep going. Your dreams can come true.
So Broadway and Rockettes those are very different things. How was your Broadway journey? Kind of, I know, like you said, you wanted to get into that. You saw that. How did that differ? And like what kind of got you into it?
Growing up, my parents were big Broadway goers. They went to see all the greatest and latest shows like Pippin with Ben Vereen and Jesus Christ Superstar and Hair. And then when The Wiz came to Broadway and it was kid friendly, my parents took me and my sister, and they took us 5 times. So each time that we walked into the theater, I had my ticket, I had my playbill. You could hear the orchestra warming up, the chatter of the crowd coming in, and then the lights would dim, the overture would start, and then you were transported into Oz for 2 magical hours with Stephanie Mills and Mabel King and Hinton Battle. And afterwards, we would wait at the backstage door and get autographs. And I think by the fifth time, we were driving home in the Lincoln Tunnel, and I remember just staring at the playbill, thinking, "This is what I want to do. I want to do what they do on that stage, and I want to walk out of the backstage door." And then that's where that dream came in. So then I fast forward 10 years later. That was my dream when I went to audition for the Rockettes. I went to learn how to be a better auditioner so I could get on Broadway. um, when I didn't initially audition for 42nd Street. The audition was taking place during the Christmas show, and a lot of the Rockettes went. And in between the numbers of the show, they would do their quick change. They'd go in the wings and they'd show each other the tap step that they learned at the audition. And then they would go out on stage and they'd perform the number. And I didn't go to the audition. I still had the voice of the PR woman saying, "I'm lucky to be there. I'm not talented enough." So after my last job as a Rockette, which was George Bush Jr.'s inauguration, I got a call from the casting director asking me to come in and audition. And I did, and I was hired on the spot.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. You're like, I want to do this just so that I can get better at auditioning, make history. And then they call you and they're like, hey, that thing you wanted to do, come do it.
Yeah.
It worked out just perfectly that way.
Yes, it did. It did. And I loved every second of performing on Broadway. I loved every second.
I love theater so much that, like, painting, I imagined in my head when you were describing going in. I'm like, yeah, I know that feeling. It's magical.
It is incredible, isn't it?
It is
Yes.
something else. And I 100% to have that feeling and just keep it. It's like a warm, cozy blanket.
Yes. Yes. I wish we could bottle it.
I know. Wouldn't that be incredible? Just bottle the feeling of theater.
Yes.
That'd be true happiness in a bottle.
Yes.
Right there.
Right. Yes. 100%.
What advice would you give a young performer that is listening and that feels kind of unseen or discouraged? What advice would you give them to keep going?
For any performer or for any child following a deep love in their life, a passion of what they want to do, is to learn your craft, learn it really well, be technical, be educational about it, and never give up. Keep going. And when you have to go in for that interview or that tryout or that audition, you can take all of that training in with you and always, always be your unique self. I got onto the line because I trained and I tried. You have to put yourself out there, but I went in as myself. And that is the most important thing.
I love that. Be true to you.
Yes.
Well, Jennifer, where can people find your books if they're interested in buying them?
They can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere where books are sold. They can also find it on my website, which is www.rockettejen, that's a double N, JENN.com. And they can find out more about me, colorectal cancer, and the events I'll be doing.
Perfect. And where can they buy the doll? Is that the same thing?
Yes, they can buy the doll at Walmart Marketplace, and they can also find her on my website.
I love it. And where can people also find you online? What are your socials?
Rockette_Jen, JENN, on Instagram, X, and Facebook is Rockette Jen.
Perfect. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for being with us today. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I absolutely adore you and everything you stand for. And I hope that you just continue to share your incredible gift and your story, because it really does mean so much to so many.
Oh, Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure is all ours. Guys, don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe, and go check out Jennifer and her books and her doll. She would greatly appreciate it, and you will just love it. Till next time, guys.